Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And certainly want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Thanks for watching. And of course, today we're going to talk about what is the obvious move, what is the next leg. And are we close to a breakout, or are we going to have a little bit of a pullback first? That's what everybody's asking. Are we going to see a bit of a pullback before the takeoff? And is Bitcoin really going to be bigger than housing? These are the things that we're going to look at quickly in the news, and then we're going to jump into the charts and have a look at what the next move could be for Bitcoin. And of course, before we do that, you know, if you've been a regular watcher of the show, smash that like. This helps get this content out to more people and does help support the channel. Really do appreciate all the comments, kind words that people leave in the comments. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. And of course, any questions that you leave below in the comments, I look to get back to those as soon as I am able to. And don't forget, the cheat sheet is below in the description. I get asked about where that is all the time. And so I'm happy to say it's right at the top of the description of this video, link for cheat sheets. And it actually has all the links there. You can actually go below the cheat sheet links, and there are more links, such as the Discord link, the greatest Discord on the planet, the Stocks with Josh Discord. I'm in the crypto channel there daily. So check out the cheat sheet. It's got all my crypto and stocks entries and take profit levels, swing trades, free educational and resources, exchange links, all kinds of other stuff. Check that out. Okay, but as Larry Fink says, Bitcoin will become as big as the entire US housing market. And just to put that in perspective, that would be Bitcoin would do a 50x, about a 50x from here. Do you see Bitcoin in the future doing a 50x? Can you see Bitcoin going up that high? Because the housing market is in excess of 50 trillion, whereas the Bitcoin market cap is sitting at about 1.2, 1.3 trillion dollars. What an amazing statement from someone who used to be anti-Bitcoin, but now, of course, has a Bitcoin ETF. Very interesting. Do you think he's smoking something, or do you think he's onto something? Is he just pumping his own bags there? What do you think about that? Can Bitcoin get that high? All right, or is Larry Fink just getting high? I want to know, is Larry Fink getting high, or is he right? Can Bitcoin get that high in the future? Certainly, probably the most important moment of the entire cycle is just around the corner. Bitcoin is on the verge of breaking out of a 7-month downtrend channel that would mark the beginning of the last and strongest wave of the cycle. And we can see here what we've had previously. Here we've come down, we've formed that bottom, and then we've had a breakout from this channel here and up. And are we about to see the same here? So we are very close. We talked about the last 2 weeks of October being the possible and historical time that Bitcoin has broken out in the past. In fact, by October 30th, it's usually gone and starting to go. And so certainly, could we be the same? Could we see the same there with that? Certainly, I feel that we are very close. And we're going to have a look just in a moment here at the charts. And you can see here from Rect Capital, who is one of the experts of the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin, and continues to post just on that. And I do find the post very informative here. But you can certainly see once we get a breakout above here and a retest, then we should see Bitcoin really come back up to its all-time high to retest that again, and then it's surely it can't be long before Bitcoin then starts to move up to around that 80K region there. Okay, so that would be very exciting for Bitcoin. So let's go and look at the charts here. And so we've got liquidation levels. Where are the liquidation levels? The liquidation levels are down around the 64 to 65K zone. So roundabout here is liquidation zone. So just between here and here, 64 to 65 right here. Okay. And so it would be an obvious move for Bitcoin to have a small retrace like that to get those liquidations. We're not talking about, there's liquidations down at 42. It's just really below price. So that for me is the obvious move. The obvious move is for Bitcoin to come and tag those liquidations and one of those liquidations, those are people who have gone long with like 50 or 100x leverage. And if price moves down in a small way, their whole position is going to get liquidated and they're going to lose their money. And so that's not good. Okay, that's not good that those people have done it, but that's what happens at the end of the day. Now, we also have a fair value gap, and that fair value gap is here. It is right down here at 62,900 all the way up to about 65,200. And you can see this fair value gap here. We have some between here and here. So this would be the next obvious move. So if we see these liquidations come down and hit the 64 to 65K region down here, we're also actually getting close to the 200 simple moving average, which we haven't back tested. So when we went up here and we hit the tribal trades trend line, the triple T, the triple threat, we came down and we retested the 200 simple moving average. And unfortunately, we failed that retest and we broke all the way down, eventually the 50-day moving average. We failed that retest, and initially it was successful, and that was a nice little trade that I gave, by the way. And then I gave this trade here, by the way. And so if you took this trade here, there's three trades. There was one trade here in the money, second trade that I gave here in the money, and third trade that I gave here in the money, okay? And so now we're getting up to the tribal trades trend line. We didn't quite get there, and we may not get there because we might have a back test. So we've got some liquidity down here to grab, and we also have a fair value gap and the 200 simple moving average around there. So I would not be surprised if we can. Now, we don't have to fill the entire fair value gap down to 62,900. This would be here. Certainly, we could wick below this. But the obvious move, the most obvious move for me, is simply taking the liquidity at 64 to 6,500 and then coming down and retesting the 200 simple moving average at around 63,500. That's the move that I'm most expecting. Now, just because it's the most obvious move doesn't mean that's the move that's going to happen, right? We could well keep moving up to here and a bit further, of course, but at some point I would expect a retest of this 200 simple moving average. And this could actually move up with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin could stay in here for a while and then slowly move up. And it might come back and retest it, for example, when the 200 simple is at 65, for example. Because this line, while Bitcoin is above it, it will move up. While Bitcoin is below it, it will move down. And of course, this will move a lot quicker. And eventually, we're going to see a golden cross here, a very bullish cross for Bitcoin when the 50 crosses the 200. But generally speaking, Bitcoin takes off before that's about to happen. This is very much a lagging indicator. So by the time the golden crosses happen, I would expect Bitcoin to be somewhere up around here or higher, or at least come up and test this upper trend line. We've got the first, and we're going to get to a point where this trend line here is going to finish by the 31st of October. What a coincidence. Certainly, so we could see that break above or test before then. I would be very surprised if this did not get tested again before the 31st of October. So those are the two obvious moves that I see between now and the end of the month. The obvious move, either that we go up first to retest this tribal trades trend line here, or the second one here. But we have the more obvious one, I think, to come down and tag this liquidity first at 64 to 65 before coming down and retesting that. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think, first of all, we're going to tag this trend line here, the tribal trades trend line? Are we going to tag this first? Are we going to tag these upper trend lines first? Or do you think that we're going to come down and we're going to tag this liquidity here first and this simple moving average here first as well? What do you think is going to happen? Are we going to see this kind of situation with Bitcoin? Certainly, we're very close to both of these prices. We could go either way. Certainly, I'm leaning towards, and we are starting to see a little bit of a pullback first here, a little bit of a pullback here first. That's what I'm leaning towards, a little bit of a pullback. But just remember this, that when we get to 67, there's liquidity here as well. So we got liquidity at 64 and 65, where the longs will get liquidated. And this would shoot price down to, remember, when longs get liquidated, it's like people selling Bitcoin, and should shoot price down to this 63,300, maybe the 62,900 level for Bitcoin. But there are shorts that will be liquidated at 67. And if those shorts get liquidated at 67, that could push us up to a little bit higher, up to the 68, 69. In fact, there's a lot of shorts that will be liquidated at 70,000. And if those shorts get liquidated at 70,000, that's like people buying Bitcoin, which could then shoot us up to 73,000, 72 to 73,000. And there's more shorts that will be, an awful amount of shorts that would be liquidated there, which would put us above. So what I'm thinking is a possibility is that we first come down, these longs get liquidated. That's like people selling Bitcoin. We push down to here, right here. We could even come down as far as here, but this would be more logical before moving up and liquidating the 67 shorts, which is like people buying Bitcoin, pushing it up to 70, more shorts being liquidated. That's like people buying Bitcoin again, that would push us up to around that 73 level, and there would be more shorts that would be liquidated at Bitcoin's all-time high around 73 that would push us into price discovery. Now, of course, if we make that move up first and we don't come back here, then we're leaving this behind. And at some point, are we going to come back and have a deeper big correction and come back into here? I think the most logical, obvious move is to come and collect those longs first and then be pushing up higher. But let's see what shakes out. Those are my thoughts. We don't deal in certainties, okay? Because I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained? The great Maximus Decimus Meridius from the movie Gladiator. So we only trade in probabilities. And I've shown you two probabilities there in the comments below. Tell me what you think is the greater likelihood of happening. Do you agree with me and think that there is a higher probability to the downside first before going up? Or do you think we're going to go up and grab some of those shorts and liquidate some of those before coming down? Remember, we also have the fair value gap below, just below where those longs would be liquidated at around 65, 64, and then 63,000 there. All right, well, we have the altcoin show coming up in a couple of hours. So until then, happy trading.